How can you note or label your rooms in ArchiCAD? How can you present it in a better way in color? How can you pull out information from your model about your spaces such as room area, floor finish, ceiling height, etc.? This video has answers to all these questions. Subscribe if you like this video and be sure to share it with those whom you think they will benefit from it. Without any further ado, let's get straight into ArchiCAD. Alright, here's the project that we're going to use for this demonstration. It was created for the purpose of this video, so if you want to follow along with this tutorial, be sure to check the link on the description for our Patreon membership program to download this project. We share project files, templates, presets, and other resources that we use to create our YouTube videos in weekly basis, if not daily basis. So yeah, be sure to be part of that program. So to get started, I'm going to define first the graphic style of this floor plan. So what I would do, I would use a graphic override combination that I've already created. So I'll come here and click on this graphic override to open the graphic override window. I'm going to import here that pack that I'm talking about. So if you want to download this pack as well, check the link on the description. And it comes and 3 different versions. Starts from version 24. In this case, I'm using version 26. I would open that particular folder, and then I would want to load the GOC gray, black, and gray. This is the one that I'm going to use for this floor plan. I'll hit open, and then there will be just one modification that I'm going to do here under the zone ruling, zone fields ruling. I would click on it and then edit the rule. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to make sure the fill background pen is unchecked. That's one of the important things. And then I'll hit OK. Once I've done that, let's hit OK. Perfect. This is how the graphics looks, and I'm impressed already. So to get started with the placement of room label or room tag, I'm going to use a tool called Zone. Zone is the perfect tool to create this kind of, you can use a text tool if you want to create something quick. Like for example, let's come here under the tool palettes and then open the documents tools. Let's find the text tool there. If you activate the text tool, zoom in to the space you want to place a label to, and then I can specify the first point, and diagonally as I'm drawing a rectangle like this. If you are new to ArchiCAD, I can click the second point to open or access the text editor window, and then I can key in the name of this room, and then I can hit enter to add another parameter for maybe the room number, and add another parameter for the area, and I'm going to have a prefix of A for this, and then I'll key in the area for this particular space like that. So the problem with this method is because it's quicker to produce, but it's not sustainable and efficient. So you would have to do a lot of things manually. Like for example, for the area, I have to calculate the area manually and then come back and add it to this area parameter. And there is no link between there's no link or relationship whatsoever between the label and the space. So the perfect tool to create this is the zone tool. So I'm going to delete that, and then if you go to the design tool palettes, we have a zone tool down here. If we activate it, it will give you the zone parameters in our info box. So let's open it. Let's open its settings so that you can understand its parameters. With the first section here is the name and position. So if you click on that, you would have the position of your zone. You would have the offset from the base. In this case, it's on 100. I would say 0, for example, and then it's been linked to the home story. It's been projected from home story, and then the top link is on the second story. You could decide not to link it, but in this case it's fine. Currently there is minus 300, the top offset, because we want to allow for the ceiling elements, so that the total height of our space is 2.7. Okay, and then this side is the name parameters, where we can say this is going to be a bedroom, and then the name, here's the number, sorry, it's going to be 01, and then the name is going to be bedroom. And then the zone comes with categories. So I've created categories for these 3 spaces: bedrooms, bathroom, toilet, showers, and lounge, dining, living room. But ArchiCAD gives you a default list of categories as you can see them here, but they are generic, and they are not tailored to a specific project. So you'd have to create your categories depending on, or to satisfy the project needs. In this case, I've created only these 3. I'll show you also how to create the zone categories in a minute. So once you have all this, you can come here under floor plan as well and define this. I don't want to confuse you for now, but let me just place this, and we would come and adjust some of the parameters once we've placed our zone. Once we are happy with the thing, you can hit OK to apply changes, and then from here we have, just like the other elements in ArchiCAD, you would have this construction method for placement of your element in ArchiCAD. Most of the elements have this part. So the first construction method is to use polyline kind of placement, where you specify or pick points of the corners of your room to place your zone. For example, if you click on it, it wants you to click the corners point by point like this to place your zone. So the second one is the rectangle. If you click on it, you can define just a rectangle by clicking on the first point, and diagonally, as you're drawing a rectangle, you can specify the second point to place your zone. And then we have these ones that more or less the same. The first one is the inner edge. It will allow you to pick the inner edge of the space. For example, if you let's activate it, and then if I click on this space, just anywhere in this space, so it will pick the region of the space if it's enclosed. This can only work when the space is enclosed, and in situations like here it won't work because it's empty, so it has to define the inner edge of the space like that, and then you can place. Same applies to this one. It worked only where the space is enclosed, and it will pick the reference line of the walls, and then you can place your label. All right, so there is this room tag or room label in ArchiCAD. This came with the recent ArchiCAD version, which is I think it's 26. I'm not sure with the 25. Maybe it has this. Yeah, I think it has this feature. You have to click or activate this in order to place a tag once you've placed your zone. In the previous versions, this tag or label, it was built in your zone itself, so they've separated it on this recent version. So I'll demonstrate this as well if you're using the versions that are below. Don't worry, just wait a second. I'll also demonstrate how does this works in other versions. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to activate the tag, and then if you have favorites stored for your tag, you can come here and choose from that. In this case, I don't have. I'll just avoid or omit that. I'm going to use the inner edge of the room, and then I'll click on the space. Then with the hammer cursor, I have to place the label like that. Okay, so this is under bedroom. It's supposed to be in category of bedroom. So if you select it, okay, in ArchiCAD I have a tip. If you want to select the latest placed elements, you'd have to undo and redo to select that. In this case, but I have 2 elements selected. I don't want to select the label. What I want is to select the zone, and then I want to come here and change its category to bedrooms because it's a bedroom. Okay, so before you continue with the other spaces, let me show you how to create a category. So you go to options menu and then element attributes. You have to create zone categories here. Let's open the zone categories. By default, like I said, you would have this default template, ArchiCAD default template, but I just created these 3 the lounge, dining, living, bathroom, toilets, showers, and bedroom. The reason I was grouping them here was I wanted to come and create a legend that will group all the elements within my plane. So I've grouped them in categories like this: bathroom, toilets, showers. They will be in a one or in a specific code. Each category has color where you can change the color from the ArchiCAD color palette. So make sure to assign each category a color. Right, that's where you create your zone categories. To create a new, just hit on new here and then give it a name, and then hit OK, and then you can define its color like that. Let's hit OK, and then to move on and finish placing all the spaces zone. Okay, I would activate the zone tool again, and then in this case, because like I said, we cannot use the inner edge or the reference line to place because the spaces are not closed. What I would do, I'll use the rectangle method and then pick this point here, and it's supposed to be somewhere here, and then place a label. I think we need to offset this edge from the palette. Let's pick offset edge. Okay, something like that. And then we have to change this category to bathrooms and toilets. Okay, and then let's move on to the next space. This space we're going to use it's lounge and dining, living, because it's a kitchen. And then we're gonna also use the rectangle because the space is not enclosed. And then I'm gonna just draw it like that, place a label here, do the same to the remaining space, which is the living, and place a label there. Okay, so that's basically what we can do in terms of placement. But I'm not impressed with the label itself. I can decide to, but before we edit, let's see what the parameter label has. So I would pick parameter of this, or I can come here under documents and then activate the label tool and then hit Control A. So if you open its settings, we have the type and preview. Like I said, this came with recent versions, so we have a separate independent zone label in this versions. So if you go down here under the symbol label custom settings, and we have list of parameters here. If you click on this arrow, we have list of parameters here, but the important one is under content. So under content, we have parameters for the ID of the zone. We have information parameters where we can specify the zone name, zone number, and its prefix. Remember, you have to check this box in order for it to display in your floor plan. We also have some dimension parameters that we want to display. You can use a variation of it here. We have parameter, volume, and measured area, and we have an option to use classification and properties that I will demonstrate in a minute. Okay, so you have to choose what information you want to display. In this case, we have 4 parameters, which is the name, the number, and the concrete area and the ceiling height. So that's basically what you can do with the label. So in other things, these are just parameters like for the display order. You can choose how you want the order to be like. In this case, if you want the zone name to be, the zone number to be up, you can just move it up like that, and then if you hit OK, it will apply the changes. But we have, it's because of those elements that let's go back. It's because of these properties that are available. Let's come here and then uncheck the classification and properties, and then hit OK. Okay, now we have our label starting with the number, as you can see. Right, if you go back again on the settings under the override text style, and we have general settings where we can choose different style of a frame, In this case, we can just use this. In order for you to access this frame style under text style, you need to make sure you activate this checkbox for frame. If it doesn't, I think for majority of the labels in ArchiCAD it works like that. Right. Okay, so that was it about the labels. There is a built-in feature as well for the zone. Okay, and it has a lot of parameters than the label can give to you. So in label, as you can see, we are just limited to these parameters, or just limited to these parameters, but we have to use the built-in feature to give you wonderful features. So let me just cancel this, and then what I would do, I'll right click and let's hide this layer. We would come and reuse it in later stages when we do the presentation of our floor plan. So in order for you to use the built-in feature, let's go to the documents, and then under model view, let's open model view options. Here in this case, let's use I'm using the drafting layer combination. So you would see there is an option to check show zone settings. I'm going to check that box and then hit OK. It will show the built-in feature for our zone like that. So let's now go back to the design tool palette and select the zone tool to select all the zones, and then let's open its settings. Under its settings, I want us to focus on settings here. Let's open that and then click on this bar or arrow to access different parameters of your zone depending on a scale. This is important, guys, to understand. If you edit one scale, it won't affect all the scales. We have from 150, 1:50 scale, 1:100, and 200. These are the three scales that we have so far. Then let's work on scale of 1:100 because that is the current, or is currently opened. So I would say under 1:100, what I wanted to do is to start first with the basic data. Okay, basic data, where we want to say we want to show the zone name and the zone number. Okay, and then if you go back again on the list and still under appearance of 1:100 scale, we can also check the finishes and heights box. All right, this is where it's getting interesting. You can also, we have this feature where we can show the ceiling finish, the wall finish, the ceiling finish as well, and then there is this level, floor level, and you can also change this to a text and choose a label or a marker for that. I like to use a custom value and then add this plus or minus 000, or I can use the level of the zone because the zones are a 3D object that carries information. I could also use, but before, let's just place it and then you can see. Let's hit OK to apply the changes so that you can see. It doesn't appear here because it's not checked. Yeah, this is a scale of 1:100. Oh, I'm editing. That is what I've been saying. You see, now I'm editing 1:200 finishes and heights. I'm supposed to be doing it on 1:100 because that's what let's find finishes 1:100. Okay, here it is. Apply the finishes and floor and then do that. If you hit OK, it will add this label and the level of the zone. But like I said, zones are a 3D elements. They carry information. So in order for us to see them, let's hit F5. We've selected them like that. Let's hit F5 to show them. Okay, so I think the changes that we need to do in 3D is because they have to follow the same surface as for the zone category. All right, for this one, for the bedroom, I'm gonna open its settings. That's what I forgot. You bear with me on that one. And then under model, let's change this to a color that represents the bedrooms category, which is this lead oxide yellow. Then hit OK. For this for this one is the bedroom. We need to match it with this zone category color. I would say it has to be paint pale blue. Okay, and then these two are fine under gray color like that. So what I was saying in terms of the levels is that we've set the base offset. For example, let me just scroll here. The base offset for this is minus 100. I don't know why. I'm gonna select all of them and then set them to 0. Okay, set them to 0 and then come back here on the floor plane. Let's open its settings, and then instead of using a custom value of our finished floor level, let's just utilize the parameter of this feature on the zone itself. I'm going to uncheck this box, and then I'm going to use the zone value, and then I change the label to this. And then if you hit OK, you'd see now it gets the level. So if I were to change the level for this from the base offset to 100, it will change parametrically that value, as you can see. If you say, okay, let's make it maybe sit on top of the plaster, screed 15, it will give you that value as well. That's one thing that I like about this built-in feature. Okay, but for this, if you want to present your project, this will be a lot of information and space. What you need to do is to create this color code, and then you have a legend separately, and then have a room schedule as well separate. That you could see this information is not sitting well here, it's overlapping into other elements. For presentation, this is not good. As you can see, this one, there's no way you can have a label here, and the best part is to have them in the center, but in this case it's going to be very difficult. So the best way is to create a layout and then place this on a layout, and then create a legend for the categories of your zone, and ultimately a schedule, and then place it on a layout side by side. So let's quickly do that. So what I would do, I'll go to documents, and then model view options. What I would do, I would uncheck the zone stems and then hit OK, so that we can have a clean presentation like that. And then this, I think there's some overlaps here that needs to be fixed. Okay, all right, so let's create a layout for, and then place this. I'll go under the layout here. If you are new into ArchiCAD, let's create a sheet here. By default, you would get the list of or default created sheets. What we want to do is to create our own sheet first. But before you create a sheet, you need to have a title block or a master. We are using master to define the size and the title block of our sheets. So I'll come here under A1. I already placed a title block there, which is this, just a simple or modern minimal title block. So what I need to do is to create a sheet here under or on top of the properties. We'll call it just I'll call it layout. Let's just call it layout, and then the master layout will be the A1. Then hit create. That's what you have. And then I'm going to go back to the project map and drag and drop, place the drawing here. Okay, so I'm going to offset this edge to there, and then offset also this edge to there. I think I might change the scale of this. Let's just zoom in here under the info box. You would find the scale. Let's set it to 1:50. All right, just do that, and then I'll pick this point. This time around I'll use a drag tool, drag it to the corner here. This space will be left for the legend and room schedules. I forgot to place a zone also for this space. Let's go back and quickly do that. Pick the zone tool. I would use a rectangle method to just place that. Okay, because we've hidden the label for our zone, so it asked me that the label is hidden. So I'll just say show layer, like that. Okay, I think we have also to define the names of our zones because all they are bedrooms. Okay, let's start with this one. So because now zones are on top of slabs, or there are elements that are on top of each other, so selection criteria to be or to select is going to be difficult. In ArchiCAD, if you are new, to select elements when they are on top of each other, you have to hit tab in your keyboard, tab key like that. Once you hit the tab, it will give you option for the selection of one element. If you hit again, it will give you another element. In this case, it gives me slab, but I want the zone. I'll hit again. There we go. How can I click on the zone? We can define this as an outdoor. Oh, sorry, outdoor. And then for this is going to be living. Okay, hit tab. This one is going to be kitchen / dining. Let's move for the slabs. This information you can also do it under its settings. There's no difference between the info bar parameters. These are all the parameters that you can access from the settings dialog. Here they are just assembled and organized in a structure way. So you can also just come here and give it a name like bathroom. Okay, that one is a bedroom, is fine. Okay, so we still want our labels to be hidden. I will select it and right click to layers and hide the layer like that. I think I could have created a zone category for this outdoor because it's different. Let's do that. Go back to options, element attributes, zone category, and then I would select, if I want to reuse the already, okay, I want to reuse this lawn and dining, so make sure it's been selected here, and then you can hit new. Or I thought it would give me an option to duplicate. It doesn't have that option, so in this case I would say, or instead of giving you an option to duplicate, it's already duplicated it. I think once you've selected here, to ask you if you want this to be a copy or, but in this case I just want this to be, I would say outdoor spaces. Then hit enter. I'll come here, let's find a nice color for that. I can create a new custom palette color for that by clicking on one of this empty palettes, and then I can come and find a nice, let's find a nice color here. I don't know, something like this. It looks great. And then hit OK. There we go, we've added that, and then we can hit OK. If you come here, let's select our zone, change the category to that. I don't think it looks nice, but anyway, for the sake of this tutorial, let's just leave it the way it is. And then once you've done that, you have to match, because if you look at on 3D, if we select all our zones and then hit Ctrl A and hit F5, in 3D it shares the same surface with the other living, dining area. So we need to find or assign it a surface that will represent its category, which is this color. But we need to go back to the zone categories again, and then make sure, no, we don't need to go here. Let's just cancel. What we need to do is to go under element attributes, under surfaces. Let's create a surfaces that will address the color code for our zone. I like to reuse whatever it's there, or you can create just list of colors that we used for zones, and then you can tag them zone, have them there instead of just reusing everything. So what I'll do, I'll check on this one. This is the one that I'm going to use, and then I'm going to change the color to, where is that color? It was supposed to be here. Okay, let's go back to our zone categories and see what happened. Outdoor spaces. Okay, we don't have the color here, so let's do it again. I'll select a custom palette, an empty palette, and then find something interesting here. Yeah, something like this. And then I forgot to say add to custom colors. That's the mistake that I did. I say add, then hit OK. We hit OK. Once we come back to the surfaces and the element attributes, we wanted to modify which one? I think this one. And then let's change its surface color to the newly created custom color, like that. Hit OK. And then open your zone settings, change that to paint Celadon. All right, looks great. It looks great. So now I need to create a legend for this, but before we create a legend, okay, yeah, no, let's go ahead and create a legend. So to create a legend, I'm going to go down here. Let's collapse all these structures and find schedules, and I'll right click on one of this and then say create a new schedule, or we can just go straight to the scheme settings. Okay, so under surfaces, it's important to understand this. We can create the legend in all these sections, elements or components or surfaces, but you won't get the swatch that we want to use as a color code. So you would have to use the surfaces in order to achieve that. So let's hit or select one of the element or the schedule in the surfaces category or surfaces section, and then hit new. It will give you the option to duplicate, but in this case I don't want to duplicate any. I will give this a code, which is a room legend, and then I'll give it a name here, or just make it in, I would like to use caps lock to differentiate what's existing or what's in the template and what I've created. So I would make this on caps and room legend. All right, then hit OK. The criteria, I would want to set this to be zone, because I'm dealing with a zone here. And then come down here under the fields of my table. I would add a field for the color code for the category. So I think it should be under surface. Yes, that's the surface color. I think between swatch and RGB option. Let's go with RGB option and then add. And then we need to collapse this and come here under zone. What we need under zone is the category. If you scroll down, you'll find zone category. Add, and then we can add the calculated area as well. If you hit OK, and then here is your schedule or your legend. Let's open it. Okay, by default it will look horrible like this, but you need to modify it to look great. All right, so what I'll do, let me just double click on this margin to fit in content. Same applies to this column as well, like that. Oh, this gave us the RGB color numbers with color codes. We don't want this. Let's go back to the scheme settings and change that. Instead of RGB, let's remove it and add I think it's swatch. Let's add swatch. I'm gonna use these two arrows to drag it to the top because I want it to be the first on my table. There we go. We have the colors there. And I'll come here and try to fit the width of the schedule to here so that you can have a bigger screen to work. So I'll click on this one. This I'll delete just to have an empty column header. This I would modify to room categories, and here I'll just say area instead of calculated area. Okay, the title, I'm gonna bold it. Yeah, I like to use for my schedule, I used to use robot font. I'll go find something. Okay, just all right. In order for us to find a specific font, I would have to click the key that, or the letter that starts for your font. In this case, robot is here, right? And then double click on the margin to fit in your content like that. And I want the color codes to look square instead of just a long rectangle like that. So I need to do it, bring this margin to 10 millimeters like that, and then set the height of each row to 10 millimeters as well. Also, okay, now I have a squarish kind of code or color code. And then, because there are a lot of things repeating, I'm gonna merge items like that. And I don't want to see the lines. I would have to say no borders, just to have a clean legend like that. Okay, so we need to bring this information to our layout we created. Let's come here and our layout, and then let's drag and place this onto our drawing. So I think we need to, I would stretch this to increase its size, something like this. Control D to move it whatever position. Okay, perfect, looks great. So you could see now this color codes matches the colors on the floor plan, which is great. All right, okay, I think we need to fix also this column. You see the column header is off and the value we need to align it. So let's go back to the room legend, and we're gonna set this to justify it from the left like that, and then I can increase also the space between these elements. All right, there we go. Okay, now let's create the schedule for our rooms. So we're gonna do the same as we did for the room legend. Let's open the scheme settings and then create a new legend or a schedule. Sorry, this is going to be room list. I'll name it room list. Oh, sorry, it has to be on caps. Then hit OK. What I need to do is to set the element to be a zone, and under fields I'm going to add the zone number. I'm going to start with the zone number and then zone name and calculated area. Hit add, there we go, hit OK. Make sure you fit this schedule to width, and this I'll just delete calculated and remain with area. Here I would say room. Let's just say, oh sorry, I'll just say room, and then this I'll leave it as blank. I'll just say code. just say code and double click on this margin to fit in your content like that. Okay, the title has to be bold. Like I said, I'm using robot font type R to go straight to the font like that. I think this column, we need to reduce it to there, something like that. Let's justify the text to the left. All right. Okay, so I can decide also to remove the borders and remain with that, but for this let's leave them. Let's just get rid of them. That's your choice, guys. It's subject to whatever your presentation styles looks. And then once we're done, let's bring it to our layout. Go back to the project map, drag and place there. I want them to be on the same size, so I'll pick parameters of this by Alt in your keyboard, or just come here under your tools, click that, pick parameters of this, and then inject to the schedule like that. Okay, let's align it. Oh, sorry, Control D to align it with this one. Okay. All right, I think yeah, that's basically it, guys. I think if I really try to explain everything and demonstrate everything, if I haven't, or if you have something that you need to be discussed in depth, let me know in the comment section so that I can address that. In order for this room list to correspond with the drawing, we need to label all the drawings with this code. So I'm gonna go back to the ground and to the ground floor, and what I would do, I already have a label that is hidden. I would Control L and then make sure, I think it's supposed to be under annotations. So if we type for annotation, there is annotation label here, then make sure it's active, then hit OK. So what we need to do here is to reference the code from our room list to the floor plan. So what I need to do, the code is just a number, which is basically that. What I will do, I will select all the label. Let's select all the labels and then open its settings. I'm going to remove the information about, okay, this is name, and let's get rid of the measured area, ceiling height. We can also check on the preview here. Oh, here we just have a number, of which is great. Right, then let's hit OK. That's basically what I wanted. I don't know why this set has to behave like this. I'll pick parameters of this and then inject to that one. All right, so if you go back to our layout, this is now being referenced. Oh, it's not showing. The layer is still off on this. Let's right click and open the source view. Control L to bring in your layers, and type for annotation. Make sure it's active. Hit OK. Let's go back. All right, there is a bit of a problem here, and I think we need to re-add that if it gives us a problem. So I can just quickly do that. Yeah, they were there. They are already. Stretch these and that, change the scale to 1:250 and make sure it's positioned within the layout. Okay, so now there's a coordination between the list and the color codes within your floor plan. But if you want to check this project, make sure you go to the Patreon membership link there and be the member and download this file. So I have also prepared you the different sets of rooms label. Okay, so in this case here, they are in two versions. We have a built-in feature and then a label feature like this. Each has that, as you can see. This is a label, this is it's built in. So instead of creating all this thing from scratch, you can reuse this into your project. So just by copy paste or save this as a favorite and then load it into your project, because you can save them here. All right, okay, so make sure to check the link on for this product as well to download that. I think it's also on the Patreon membership as well. That was it for this video. Check the downloads of the project files and templates used for this video in the link on the description panel. Tune in for the next video tomorrow, as I'm dedicated to bring in videos in daily basis. I know it's a huge challenge to do so, but I'm determined to help. And if you like this video, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and like, share with those you feel would benefit to this video. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video about creation of this project you see in the screen from start to finish. Bye bye.